from the ground up. That is what the Forza Motorsport marketing team used many, many times when marketing this game. The tagline, built from the ground up. That's why I'm going to use it as a video title. And I think a lot of content creators are using that phrase as a bit of irony, because there are some things in this game that definitely give off the sense that this wasn't exactly built from the ground up. Now, I'm not the biggest car enthusiast in the world per se, but I do love a good racing game. And you can tell that they reused quite a few cars from their previous installments. Now, Polyphony does the same thing with Gran Turismo, but they at least seem to give it more tender loving care when putting it in their new game. That's all good if you want to reuse stuff, that's fine, you know. I do a job at reusing stuff quite a bit, but you have to tailor it to match what you need to do now. And another problem with Forza is that the marketing was just not up to par. But before we really get into that, I just want to slowly introduce why I'm doing this video. So, Forza Motorsport came out early October 2023. I remember downloading it and playing it the first couple of weeks just to kind of see what the game was about. And I enjoyed it, but something seemed off. And I couldn't really put my finger on it. You can see on this channel that I've done raw gameplay of Forza Motorsport, and I was, having a decent time with it, but it was early on. It was still new to me, right? And I was talking with Neil Collects, and he told me that a good video idea would be to do one where we're comparing Gran Turismo 7 to the new Forza Motorsport, which is technically the 8th entry in the whole series, but this is like a soft reboot, right? So I told Neil, yeah, that'd be a good idea. I'd have to reinstall Gran Turismo and just do a deeper dive. So in between then, I was playing Starfield. Baldur's Gate was on PlayStation. I got a copy of that, and I got Super Mario Wonder. I mean, the list just kind of grew and grew, and Forza kind of went more and more and more to the back burner, to where I'd only play it here or there. But it wasn't until just recently where I actually spent a full week just playing through this game and just kind of seeing what all it had. And then I also returned to Gran Turismo 7 on the PS5 and saw what it was in its latest state, because keep in mind, it came out early 2022, so it's been out for just about 2 years now. So this video isn't going to compare the two, because you're watching Forza Motorsport footage, and I mean, Gran Turismo 7 is just the better game flat out. But if you don't have a PS5 or PS4 to play it, Forza's a good second option. In many ways, these two games aren't exactly too far apart, and there are some aspects that I feel Forza does a bit better than Gran Turismo, but the overall issue remains. It just lacks a certain polish. It lacks presentation. It just lacks those little things that you go to Gran Turismo and appreciate. Like, you could tell Gran Turismo is made by racing and car enthusiasts. I just don't sense that same enthusiasm in Forza, even to a guy that's kind of outside the realm. Anyway, so I want to go back to the marketing thing. So, built from the ground up, that was the mantra we heard. And then kind of like Starfield's mantra, it's our biggest game yet. Yeah, no kidding. So this game's built from the ground up, and every time they would say it, they would showcase graphic fidelity. Like, they do those real zoomed in shots on the car so you can see every curve, every reflection. They talked about ray tracing and just how the lighting reflects and everything else. Just, you guys know how it goes with these games. They really, I'm trying to think of friendlier term than jerk off about the graphics, but essentially that's what they do. They just go on and on and on and on about the graphics, the graphics, the graphics. It's got a 24-hour cycle, yada, yada, yada. But you got to remember, when you're playing a racing game, you're not going to notice this crap. I mean, you're going to be racing at simulated high speeds, and I don't know. I think graphics, yes, is important, but you got to make the core game good. But here's the thing. They didn't really deliver on the graphics. In fact, the graphics, I feel like, are kind of a step down from Forza Motorsport 7. And that's been out for a while. And you can't even play Forza Motorsport 7 now. It's delisted. If you have a hard disk copy like I do, yeah, you can play it. But you can probably get it cheap on eBay too. But if you want like a digital copy, yeah, you can't get it. Delisted. But the problem is that they said this game would showcase the graphic fidelity of the Xbox Series consoles. And if you got the right PC and the right hardware, gosh, you're in for an amazing experience. The thing is, visually, the game was just kind of dull to me. And I was like, is it because I don't use ray tracing? Well, not ray tracing, I'm sorry. Is it because I don't use HDR on my TV? Well, I turned on all the settings, optimized it all. The only reason why I don't use it is because my TV's 2018 LED TV. It's a little dated, but I'm gonna keep rocking with it until these OLEDs get cheaper. But you know, I messed with the settings right, and still just looked a bit washed. I mean, you can tell they put a lot of work in the background, a lot like Starfield, to be honest. Like if you're looking up at the sky and you're kind of watching the weather, watching the lighting, you can tell work went into that, but it just feels like, especially daylight, it's a bit washed out. Now nighttime, I think the game looks great, especially when you get the headlights involved and all those reflections. I will actually give it props on nighttime, but we're 7 minutes in the video and we're just talking about graphics. How does the damn game race? Well, I think Forza actually drives quite well for a controller game, because it's like Gran Turismo 7 feels better to use with the steering wheel, whereas Forza is really good with the controller. And a lot of people are complaining on PC that, you know, I wish this game was better for the wheel. And you know, it's really good for a casual market to have a controller, but the problem with that is you have to have a game that you can pick up and play with other people quickly. That's kind of the thing I liked about racing games. Like the best ones, you can just pick up and play a little bit and just, you know, get your jollies and then move on. And then come back to it next time, pick up and play. Especially if you have company over and you just want to show them a quick game. Yeah, let's race. You know what game I do for that? Mario Kart. But Forza, the biggest problem, even that, like, let's see. I really like the physics. I like the handling. Driving the cars is actually fine. And honestly, if you're going to have a racing game, you better have that down pat. I heard on PC it's quite a mess, but I played it on Xbox. Let's see. So graphics just felt a bit washed out. The physics are good. It's a fine game. It's just a good feeling game, and there's so many different settings you can tweak, different options in terms of like assists, and not to mention accessibility options, to where if you have some handicaps that, you know, make it a bit detrimental for you to be racing these kind of games, there's additional settings for you to turn on and off as you please, just kind of depending on like what your handicaps are. And you know, that, I think that's great. I'm glad more games do that. But speaking of accessibility, let's talk about the big system that really plays this game, and it is the car PG aspect. So on paper, this idea seems fine. You get a car and it starts at level 1. Like, yes, your driver is gaining levels as well, but This car level is basically you establishing a bond with your car. The more you drive the car, the more miles you put on it, the more racing you do, the more moves you make with it, increases the car's level, and that in turn gives you car points, which they could abbreviate as anything else besides CP, but that's what they put. So car points are spent on upgrades, but here's the problem: certain upgrades are locked to your car level. So if you want like the best tuning for your car, you have to level your car up to 50, not 25 or anything, but 50. And that's one car. You know how these games are. There's a lot of cars on these games, and it just takes so much time to level them. And it's so tedious because in Forza Motorsport 7 or 6 or even Gran Turismo, what I'll do is I'll buy a car, and I like going to the shop and buying all the options I can for tuning right then and there. It's all about quickly setting up a car, racing a few races, get familiar with it, and take it online and race it. You can do that on this game, but the problem is with online, there's not a whole lot of players playing it. And a lot of the lobbies are locked to like certain types of cars, certain types of events, right? And let's say you really like the Chevrolet Corvette racing car. You're sitting there, you leveled it up to 50, you finally got it optimized, you got it upgraded. That's fine. But the only busy lobbies online are racing Mazdas. It's like, what the hell? I don't have any Mazdas that are level 50. So guess what? You got to go buy a Mazda and it's level 1. So you're racing against people that have fully leveled up their Mazdas that are fully upgraded. They're running laps around you. And online is just tedious. Like the best racing games I've played online, it's pick up and play. And the NASCAR games do it well. And, you know, like Mario Kart's some of the more arcadey. This is technically a simcade, so you kind of want to balance it. But Forza wants to force people into practice sessions, driving around the track. Here, learn the track, get used to your car, get XP. That's fine, but here's the problem. That's not going to stop everyone from piling into turn 1, wrecking each other anyway. Practice isn't going to help. And not to mention, you're tied down to the car's penalizing system, which is very inconsistent with, of course, it's powered by AI. Of course, it's a learning thing. It has to learn. But initially, I would plow into cars, not get penalized. I would barely make contact, just kind of like a bump and run type thing, taking a corner. I'd get hit, pretty hard penalty. But the more punishing thing was the track limits. So on Formula 1, when I would race those games, I liked using the curbs on the tracks to help give me a little bit more power in the turns. A lot of the racing lines are to the inside of the curb. If you put your tires on the curb, you're technically outside the racing surface, and it docks you time for that. It's like, well, I have to make a move. So it is a mess. But in terms of connections, I really didn't have any problems with like staying in an online match or anything. It's just not fun to do it. And not to mention, it's such a grind just to get there. And I'm about to circle back to accessibility, because when you have a system like the CarPG car leveling system for upgrades, you know what people do? They exploit it. I'm not even sure if they have fixed the exploit yet, but for a while when people were first starting this game, they would literally just go buy a car at level 1. They'd go into their settings and turn on all the accessibility options to help aid your driving. And the car would literally drive itself on the track. It would stay on the track. It would complete laps. It would gain XP. So people were sitting there leveling up their cars by not playing the game. That's a bit effed up, isn't it? Like that's counterintuitive. So I don't think CarPG is a bad system, because I think it actually works well for career mode, which is where I want to go next. This is kind of like the last pillar of the game, is career mode. Now, I tell you, the career mode is divided into separate tours. And each tour has multiple championships you can race. And within the championships are about 4 or 5 different races. The problem is that I ran into in career mode, it doesn't really give you a good sense of progression, because even deep into career mode, I was running some basic street level cars that were just upgraded. It's not like other games that you get on and race. I thought Grid did a real good job of starting you out in like a basic common street car, and as you gain experience, gain money, gain levels, gain notoriety, you're getting in more powerful and powerful and powerful cars. Gran Turismo kind of did this as well with the menus. It's like the further you go in their menu system, while not perfect, I actually got a sense of progression. And with Forza, it's not that. Now, they do have certain events that will pop up in career mode, but they are they're time exclusive. Like, you better commit to one of these within a week because it's gone. And although you do get to race a good car in it, it's just, they have a sense of FOMO. They want you to keep coming back to this game, which is fine, but it's really bare bones. The career mode is very disappointing. So in career mode, the way they want you to do is they want you to go to a track. They want you to practice 3 laps around the track. Sometimes 2 laps if it's Nürburgring, but that's a big track. And once you're done with that, they want you to pick where you start. Like, there's no qualifying. You pick where you start. And the further back you start, the more credits you get. And of course that doesn't really matter, but that's just what they do. That's the system they have. And I don't like it. I just want to qualify. If my car is not good, put me to the back. Put me up front. Like, practice should just be qualifying. Like, if you want to practice a track, you ought to be able to go into quick play, take your car, run some laps, level it up a little bit, and then go into career mode, qualify, race, next. Instead, it's just another one of these games, especially the CarPG system, that just adds so much tedious padding to make the game last longer than what it is. And if this game truly was built from the ground up, it is a very basic foundation. It's a decent foundation, but it's a lot like Xbox's whole pattern they have with these Game Pass games of releasing a solid base game, but just like every other game, like Halo Infinite and Starfield, and now Forza Motorsport, we have to wait for improvements and fine-tuning. 2 years from now, it'll probably be a lot better than it is now. But I'm just sitting here thinking Gran Turismo's been out since 2022, like early 2022. The template is there. And not to mention, my only other nitpick is just the presentation and the UI is just so bland and basic. Like, Gran Turismo does a real good job presenting itself. Just putting a bit of awe into it, making you, like, their map for their career mode is beautiful. And I don't know, it's just, Forza Motorsport is a really bland game, and it requires a lot of time investment, and that's not so bad if it wasn't so bland. The online races take a bit to get into. It's just this real whole CarPG stuff. I don't think they should remove it though, but I think it should be career mode single player only. Now multiplayer, I don't think car levels should be a thing. As long as you own the car, you should be able to tune it however the hell you want to and just jump in and race. But that's not the case. And I don't know what it'll take to fix that. And this game just seems like it really could have used more time in the oven, even if that meant another year. Because 2023 was a stacked year for gaming. And they released Forza Motorsport at the thick of it. You had Call of Duty releasing. Starfield released a month ago. You had Baldur's Gate on PS5 that released a month ago. Later on in October, you had Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder. Forza, it's almost like you kind of wonder if they buried it kind of on purpose. I hate to suggest that, but you kind of wonder if the whole plan was, look, we just got to get this game out there and start working on it. But, this is a problem that plagues all of gaming. This isn't really just an Xbox thing, but it seems to happen more in their realm than, say, PlayStation or Nintendo. It's just, if you're going to make a game from the ground up and you're going to promise all these graphics, just do it. I mean, so what if it takes more time? Just do it. And I don't know what to think, but like I said, if you don't have any other option in terms of a racing game, Forza Motorsport is fine, but it's just so mid. It's just so basic. And if you have any other better options out there, say Gran Turismo 7 or the other game that's free to play, AC, just go play those as racing games. Just don't even bother right now. But yeah, this game, I feel like when I wrap up these game journals, I ought to mention like if I finished it or like what I thought of the game. Now, this game I didn't finish. I did 3 of the, I believe there are 5 tours available in career mode. I just did 3. I got the cars at the end. I called it a day. I was just done with it at that point. But I don't know. I'll keep the game. Like, I'll love to come back to it, but if I want to play a Forza game, I'll just go play Horizon. And from what I hear, the Crew Motorsport's a better version of Horizon than even Horizon is these days. And if I want a more serious racer where we're going around the track setting up, legit races, I'll just go to Gran Turismo 7. But it's just such a shame. I look forward to this game a whole lot. And it's just one of those that just, it doesn't deliver. It's a decent game, but doesn't deliver. And I better end this video now or I'm going to repeat myself again. So, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. See y'all.